Eventually, man, after Pac died, when he got shot for the second time, uh, Biggie ended up going out to the West and getting killed.
That's huge mistake.
Yeah. A lot of people say like it's one of them things where it was bound to happen because of the way that everything had played out. People felt like it had to be some good back. We don't know what was what though. It's 1,000 different stories online. But seeing Biggie and Pac go in this short amount of time from each other that was on records, do you feel like that changed the rap game forever?
Holy
Yeah.
yes, man. I was laying in my bed that was a Sunday morning. Back then, there were no smartphones, there was no nothing. It was a pager. It wasn't even a two-way yet. It was a pager that someone would call an 800 number and they would be like, yo, this is Mike. Call me at so-and-so number, bro. You know I got to get in touch with you. And then they would type that message and send it to you. And they also had on there a news feed. And I remember I was sleeping and my people was beeping, but it was in the other room. And my first wife at the time, Dana, she was in the room with my pager, and I just heard her yelling, like, they killed Biggie. The rapper Notorious B.I.G. dead at, 25 or whatever. This is like 9 o'clock. This is like 9 o'clock in the morning. So it must have been, it happened like 3. They probably confirmed it, and then that's when it became a part of the news feed. Boom. Dead sleep, out of the sleep, running, because I lived in the Bronx back then in Co-op City. Boom, run in the shower, boom, down to the station. Same thing all over again. And she crying, everybody in there crying, man. We all was stuck by that. My personal opinion is, as many times as I've heard the story, or, a part of it I lived, I just don't think he should have been there, man. I don't think he should have been there. And listen, they had information to get the out of there. My man, Unique Mecca Audio. If y'all don't know who Unique Mecca Audio is, man, go check out his channel. He's another prominent gangster from my neighborhood. He was in the feds. But he called my man Gene Dill and was like, boom, yo, fess up, bro. Boom, hung up the phone. Because he could have got in trouble for that 3-way call and all that kind of in a federal facility. The streets was talking, because as you know, everything emanates from jail. So it goes from jail to the streets, because that's where the real power is. So for them to get a warning and not leave, to me, and it was told to them, I don't know, but listen, I'm not Puff. I don't know what was what. I can only make my best view of it, what they call Monday morning quarterbacking. I don't know what's really going on. I was not there. I'd have to defer to Puff. I'd have to defer to Little C's. I'd have to defer to Gene Deal. I'd have to defer to people who were actually on the ground. I don't know why they did it. In my personal opinion, I don't think they should have been out there.
So
we lost in that span of, was that 3 months maybe? 3-4 months? We lost 2 of the most prolific artists of our generation. Can you imagine what the fuck would be going on if Tupac and Biggie was here? Tupac would be like 50 and some change. Biggie would be 50 and some change. I believe that the whole entire landscape would have been different. Biggie had a clothing line called Brooklyn Men. I used to wear that, man. They used to give me Brooklyn Men. I used to wear that all the time. Yeah, they started out with a velour, not a velour, like a terry cloth shirt. And it used to sit down, and right here it used to have a beat for Brooklyn Men. So you know how on the money, they got the circle and shit like that? Biggie had it. It was like Brooklyn Men. That shit was fire. And Biggie was just starting to get his clothing line up, man. If he would have got off, I personally believe Biggie right now would have probably had one of the biggest clothing lines. It probably might have been over by now, but I think the effects of it would still be going. I guarantee you he would have had an alcohol, he would have had one of the biggest alcohol brands, he would have had a bunch that he would have changed the game. Tupac, I honestly believe if Tupac was alive today, he would have been some form, he would have been, in my personal opinion, I know this is a reach, but I think he would have been on Malcolm X, honestly.
I ain't gonna lie, I believe it. Just he laid down that foundation and that type of energy already with some of the stuff he just did in our time, and just.
So, think about this. He was a god fool when he was doing that, right?
Yeah.
Imagine he lives, he becomes more mature, he gets a grasp of what the power he really has, and the admirers and the fervent followers that he had. People now just follow Pac like that. What would that man have been, man? You think the Million Man March was, imagine what he would have put together, man.
Nah, you ain't
Imagine
lying.
what he would have put together.
He had the influence on the people. He had the passion for it. He meant it. It's just he would get a little sidetracked. But it's so crazy that most people don't know these dudes. 25 and stuff. It's like, man, you know,
What a baby, man.
because I was a kid, so I thought they was like some grown old men. I didn't know, like, oh, this is only 25. Like, it's crazy, man. Like, they was Kodak Black age right now for people from my younger generation.
And think about this, I was 25. It wasn't like I was an old man. I was there with him too. Keep in mind, Tupac was a Gemini as well. He was two sides of the. There were times that Tupac would get in your face. You can't do that, sir. No, but that's an excellent example of what would happen in the streets.
Yeah, not fair.
Like just how it popped off like that. At that time, that's the kind of that was happening. So if you out in on the West Coast, that could happen to you. But guess what? That motherfucker might have a gun.
Fast.
East Coast, we gonna lay these niggas down. And listen, people, you know, I don't know people from other parts of the country, other parts of the world. LA does not allow people the respect for life in LA. It's LA and Chicago, the respect for your life is just not there, bro. Like, they will lay you down, just like Jadakiss said, they will kill you and discuss this over a beer, man. So that's what, to me, made it more scary. It's just like that, man. It could happen that quick. So again, back to what I was saying about Pac. Pac was funny, he was witty, he was crazy. One minute he would be, this way, and the next minute he would turn up on you, and it was just crazy, man. But hands down, one of the most prolific artists of our time, my personal opinion, and I've said it, and if people get mad, they get mad. Pac was not a lyricist to me. He was not a singer. He was an artist. He wasn't a lyricist. He was an artist. He was a movement. So I never put Tupac in my list of greatest rappers. He wasn't that to me. He was an artist. He knew how to make records, and he was a movement. My favorite records are How Do You Want It? Like a triple blue page, a roll sky page, a gang blues on the page, and what else is one of my favorite records, my other favorite Tupac record? There is a mix. I don't know if people know it. If you don't, go find that shit. Jesus, and that goes back to what I think Tupac would have been as well. They did a version of Tupac rhyming off This Is How We Do. I don't know if you've heard that shit.
I ain't heard that one.
You need to go hear that shit. And what that said to me is, what if this nigga would have been in that era and made one? The way they put him on that record, he destroyed If that would have been his record, that would have been guaranteed one of his top records. And the one thing about Tupac, he was a workaholic. This guy worked and worked and worked and worked. He moved fast, of course. He didn't sit and write his rhymes the way everybody else do, but that man's working, he was moving fast. A lot of people say that was because he felt he was going to die. A lot of people said because he was making albums so that he could get off death row. I don't know because I wasn't there, but I can just tell you, man, I've seen Tupac in action. He's a hard worker.
So